Hi everyone, my name is Anita Ladhani. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and an energy practitioner and a fellow single person. And I love talking to my fellow single men and women friends about dating and relationships and the struggles of being single and how, so today I was talking to someone that was very frustrated because he was like, it's so hard to date and I hate being single. And what did he say? This is a man in his 30s, quite accomplished, good looking, for all purposes, intelligent, decent guy. And he was just talking about how it's really, really hard because he said, the women are all, they're, what did he say? He said they're all not damaged, but basically, they come with so many problems. They come with baggage. And I was like, what do you mean? Dating is so much fun. It's supposed to be exciting. It's supposed to be enjoyable. And he's like, no, it's absolutely misery. It's just so frustrating. And I was like, well, you're then obviously not doing it right. Or you're spending too much time with people that you should not be spending time with. So, we started, sort of talking about this. And so I thought, let's talk about this a little bit, right? Excuse me. This whole concept of, 50-50 in a relationship, it's complete hogwash. This whole thing with Jerry Maguire, you complete me, nonsense. I think it's ruined a generation of women. You cannot look for happiness in a relationship. Hear me again. You cannot look for happiness in a relationship. So then you're thinking, so then what's the point of me being in a relationship? I'm not saying you can't be happy or you can't derive happiness from a relationship. What I'm saying is the relationship cannot be the only source of fulfilling you, right? Sure, it will bring you joy, it will bring you pleasure, it will bring you companionship, but you can't look for a relationship to complete you and to fulfill you. No, that has to come from within you. So how do you do that? I think people spend way too much time looking for that perfect person instead of actually working on themselves, right? So what do you mean? Well, take time and figure out if you're unhappy, why are you unhappy? What if you're in a relationship or if you're not in a relationship, you've been in a relationship, what worked? What didn't work? What was acceptable? What was not acceptable? And way too many people stay in relationships for all the wrong reasons. People stay in relationships because they don't want to be alone. People stay in relationships because they figured, why not? Everyone's got imperfections. We have to compromise. And yes, I'm absolutely okay with compromising. But there's a fine line between compromising in terms of, being flexible and being accommodating and no one's perfect. And compromising on your ethics, compromising on who you are, compromising on your self-respect, compromising on your joy, not acceptable. Okay? So for me, I'd rather be single and be happy than be in a relationship just to say I have a relationship. Forget that. Not going to happen. So what are some things that people can do if, you're not, if you're single out there? Well, first of all, take inventory. What is important to you? Okay. Yes. Communicate. Let me write that down because I'm going to talk about that. So in my experience of being happily divorced for almost 15 years now, and I've dated and I've had relationships and I've also had plenty of time to really evaluate my marriage and my relationship and what worked and what didn't work and why didn't it work. And I've been able to identify a few things that for me are key going forward. And those have actually changed. And now as a 45-year-old, and by the way, I got called 29 years old today, which was really cool. I'm like, no, I'm 45. Anyways, the point is, what's important? So for me, respect is absolutely important. And respecting, genuinely respecting someone, and then showing that, right? So how do you know you're respected? Well, hopefully you're not disrespected. The person is not talking down to you. The person is not cursing at you. They're not, being sarcasm is one thing, but it's like that passive aggressive, you know, what is it, tane marna, right? Like being sarcastic in a very mean spirited way. That's not acceptable. That's not respect. So respect has to be there. You have to like the person. You have to look up to the person. You have to value the person that you want to be with. Because if you don't respect them, and then why the hell do you want to be with them, right? And obviously you want to feel respected in a relationship, because if they don't respect you, then why do you want to be with someone who doesn't think the world of you? Because you're amazing, even with all your imperfections. Even if you think you're overweight, even if you think you're not attractive, even if you think you're not the smartest person, even if you think you're not like rich enough or whatever, not that that has any bearing to who you are as a human being, you still are amazing because God made you amazing, and you still have gifts and things that you bring to the table. So first of all, learn to love yourself, learn to know who you are and what your self-worth is, and then go into it offering and looking for that, right? I've talked about this, where years ago, literally 10 years ago, I sat down because I was 4 or 5 years, after being divorced, I dated and I kind of was running against, brick wall, and I would break up and I was just like, what is going on? And then I said, okay, wait a minute, let's get clear on what I want. So I literally made a list of what I wanted. But then the next step was I look at that list and I said, okay, how many of those things that I want in a relationship do I already bring to the table, right? I want someone intelligent. I want someone emotionally stable. I want someone financially stable. I want someone who's willing to commit. I want someone who's open, has excellent communications, who's willing to be vulnerable. I want someone who's grounded. I want someone who's connected to a higher power, regardless. How many of those things do I have? And at that point, 10 years ago, there were quite a few things that I did not meet. So then I said to myself, well, if I don't already meet those things, and if that's what I want, then the person that I want, why would they want to be with someone who's not up to the same standard, right? So then I've worked for years on working on improving myself and growing myself to realizing and recognizing what things I needed to change, what things I needed to let go of, what things I needed to forgive, what things I needed to, let go, forgive, move on, and what things that I need to evolve into. And some of those were hard because you know what? There were some things that I looked at myself that were not pretty, that were not, good. But I had to do those things because it's only fair that the person that I want to attract in my life is only going to meet me at the same vibrational frequency that I'm at, right? So if I'm not there, then I'm simply not going to meet the person that I want to attract in my life. I'm going to meet the person that's at the vibrational frequency that I am. So what's happened? So over the years, as I was getting to this point, I would run into and I would meet men and I would date men and I would become friends with them, or I wouldn't. But they were at the frequency that I was at. But every one of them became teachers of mine. Every one of them provided me an opportunity to learn certain lessons. When a man was disrespectful to me, instead of me marrying him and having 2 kids, it didn't last, maybe a few months. And then it got to where maybe a conversation, maybe a few dates, and it was done, right? I became very fine-tuned to what was acceptable and what's not. Now, this is not an excuse to run. This is not an excuse to hide. This is not an excuse to reject men. There's a nice balance between, giving it a fair try and, also being realistic with, where you are and who you are. And, even now, I'll have men who come into my life and I know they're completely wrong for me because for whatever reason, but there's enough of a respect there, and I'm also aware that this person is showing up to teach me something, or I'm supposed to teach them something. So I will entertain that friendship or that communication for a lot longer than my other friends would want me to, because I'm comfortable and I know kind of what I'm doing. So the point is, that's the list, right? So make the list, but then the basic foundation is respect. Communication is huge. For me, I have to be able to speak my truth. Now, it's also a women thing, but I know men who are just as willing to do that. But, as a stereotype, men don't like to talk. But I also know women who don't like to talk and who like to shut down and, don't want to talk about the issues. I think it's a nice, healthy balance. Figure out what you need. And I think, for me, communication, I have plenty of good friends. My colleagues at work are some of my closest friends and family, right? Who are there to listen to me, right? I don't need to go to my partner to vent about stuff because, first of all, I don't vent a lot. I have other ways of processing. I'll journal, I'll meditate, I'll just sit in silence, as tough as that is. But there are times when I just want to talk. It's called diarrhea of the mouth, right? And so I will do that with some of my girlfriends or some of my, male friends and just sort of, they will hold space for me so that I can do that. So then I can process and I can then come back and then be with my partner without, dumping all that stuff on them because it's not fair. So you need to find outlets to do that where it's not, you're not just dumping that on your partner, but all communication is important. Your partner should be there. You should be able to communicate about things that are vital to you, things that are important to you, things that you feel, things that are, because there have been times, like I said, I've talked to a few people where literally they've shut me down mid-sentence. And I know for me, my voice is very, very important. There was a reason where a year ago I started doing these videos, and that was very specifically after I literally had my voice downloaded through Theta Healing, and then I have not shut up since. And I've had moments where I felt like I was, muffled, and I've had to clean myself up energetically and download that again and, go for it. So with this person that I'm thinking of, literally, I could feel myself just sort of, being suffocated again. And I was like, that is not happening. This is not going to work. It's not something I'm willing to compromise. I don't care how amazing or stable or good looking or intelligent you are. Not going to happen. So this is important to me, right? So the point is, work on yourself, figure out who you are, have a relationship with your higher power. I don't care what name you call him, her, the higher energy of the universe. You call him Jesus, you call him Buddha, you call him Allah, you call him, Moses, whatever, Krishna, Ram, it doesn't matter. Have a relationship with the higher power, because at the end of the day, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And I'll tell you the simplest thing you can do if you're just looking, going, okay, she's talking a lot, but I don't know where to start. Start with the practice of daily gratitude. I can't even tell you how this simple practice will literally transform your life. And I've done other videos on the practice of gratitude. If go to the YouTube channel and look for gratitude. I've done several videos on it. But pretty much every night, get a journal. Every night you write down 5 things you're grateful for. And you mindfully do that every night. Even if you're miserable, just write it. Because writing that energetically changes something. And you start to literally change the vibrational frequency of your inside. And you will glow. You will just become light. You will become love. And then you will attract light and love. And guys, it's okay to be single. It's okay to be alone. It's okay to feel lonely. It's okay to feel, feel like crying. It's okay. It's not the end of the world to be lonely or alone. Completely not. Okay, I think there's a certain strength that comes with being comfortable in your own company. And being clear on who you are, because then when you get into a relationship, you're bringing 100%, not this 50-50 nonsense, because I bring 50% and you bring 50%, and no, that does not work. You have to be 100%. Well, you're not always going to be 100%, right? I mean, all of us have days where we have our weak days and we have strong days, but for the most part, bring a good 70, 80, 90%, be works in progress. I mean, we're always going to be works in progress, but be works in progress, but don't go looking for someone else to complete you, because it ain't going to happen. You're going to be miserable. You're going to make them miserable. The relationship's going to be, you're going to end up breaking up. You're going to want to break up. You're going to be depressed. You're going to be frustrated. It's just going to be unhealthy and not a good situation. So anyways, I've said a lot. I hope some of this has resonated. I hope it makes sense. Lots of love. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.